All right, I apologize for the slight delay here, but seeing that it's 5:15, I am going to call the meeting to order before roll call. I just have to make a little statement. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the governor's March 15th order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Town of Adams Finance Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A recording of this meeting is available for anyone who wishes.
I can't.
Rule of 10 in place according to code enforcement for this size of the room in accordance with the governor's orders applies here. For anybody who's wishing to log in, you can participate. The login is available on the town's website. So, that being said, I'm going to do a quick roll call. Vice Chairman, I'm here. John Cowie?
Here.
Thank you. Michelle Butler? Craig Corrigan? Carol Cushionetti?
Here.
Thank you. Justin?
Here.
Thank you. Kit Foster?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Sarah Klein? No Sarah? Okay. Amy Kupiec?
Here.
Thank you. Jay Mezor?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
Lolito?
Here.
Okay, and Jason's not sworn in yet. Rachel? So I have 9 attendees. We have a quorum, so we will begin this evening's meeting. First on our agenda are the approval of the August 31st minutes. Hopefully you've got a chance to review them. I will ask for a motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion.
Motion by John and second by Brian. Any discussion?
I'm going to be discussing something in them a little later on. I could do it now, I suppose.
Is it pertaining to the minutes?
Well, it's pertaining to what's in the minutes, but I'll tell you what, I'll wait. Okay, I'll just refer to the minutes back later.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions on the minutes?
Oh.
Okay, so roll call as in favor of the minutes. John?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
And myself, that's it. Okay, so minutes are approved. John, before I get into the town warrant, did you have a comment relative to something in the minutes?
Well, it'll come up in one of the, I think it's
Okay, so
number, okay.
that's fine, then we can cover it. So
Yeah, because I'll ask the question when I get to the article.
Okay, so how we're going to approach this is how we have been approaching the previous meetings and town meeting. We'll do it on a consent agenda. What I am going to do is I am going to announce the article number. If anybody wants that article held, please voice by saying so, and then we'll hold those articles for discussion. The ones that aren't held we'll approve en masse. Okay? Article 1. Article 2. Article 3. Article 4.
I would like that held. This is Charles Foster.
Thank you. Article 5.
John Cowie.
Thank you. Article 6. Article 7.
Tim, if I can just, is there anybody there from the schools?
No.
Neither school.
No.
Okay, then, let me, okay, I'm going to have to hold them because I'm just going to say I'm going to vote no, okay? I guess because I can't do it otherwise.
All right, so you're holding.
Okay, okay, you understand?
Yep.
Okay,
Article 8.
yeah, hold John Cowie.
Article 9.
Hold John Cowie.
All right, now our transfers. Article 10. Article 11. Article 12. And Article 13. The annual authorization articles, Article 14. Article 15. Article 16. Article 17. The bylaw amendments. Article 18. Article 19. Article 20.
Hold John Cowie. Tim, you're saying 21?
I haven't gone to that yet. Getting there.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I was, my phone goes in and out.
Article 21.
Hold John Cowie.
Miscellaneous articles now. Article 22. And we have Article 23.
Again, that's with the school, so just hold it and I'll just have to say no.
Special articles, Article 24. Article 25. Article 26.
Now, Tim, on this one again, is there anyone there to speak on that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hold it.
Jay said he could speak on it. Article 27 is a citizen's petition.
Okay, I'll hold that one as well.
Okay. Article 28 is no action. Okay. So we have articles being held 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 20, 21, 23, 26, and 27. I am going to call for a vote on all articles not held. So those would be Articles 1, 2, 3, 6, 10 through 19, 22, 24, and 25. May I have a motion for those articles?
A motion to approve the articles that are not held.
Thank you. A motion by John. Is there a second?
Second by Brian.
Brian seconds. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will do a roll call vote for those articles. John Cowie,
Yes.
Michelle Butler.
Not present.
I'm sorry, my bad. Carol,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Kit,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay, they all pass. We'll now move on to Article 4. Article 4 was held by
I think Charles had that one.
by Kit Foster, okay. Kit, would you like to make a motion to put that article on the table?
Yes.
I'll move to put,
make a
okay,
motion.
never mind.
Okay, a motion by Kit and a second by John.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to you, Kit, for your question.
All right. My question is, these salaries were based on 5 days a week with the town hall being open. And now it's only open 4 days a week. I mean, is there any way we could reduce the salaries? Or what has to be done to reduce salaries for the elected officials?
Or you're talking the elected officials?
Well, yeah, well, the treasurer, the board of assessors,
Well, town hall,
clerk. Anybody
Town hall-
working in the town hall 4 days instead of 5. I mean, the
Right.
hourly workers were reduced because their hours were reduced. But nothing was done with the salary employees.
You cannot legally reduce a salary of a salaried employee by state law.
Well, how do you decide the salaries for these people?
You decide them. They are decided by town meeting, by the amount of money that's put in this article, that's put in the budget, and approved to town meeting. So the only way to reduce these particular salary line items, and we're speaking about the treasurer collector, we're speaking about the town clerk, and the board of assessors, is a recommendation by the select board and the finance committee to reduce them. They are how the original salaries were set, I don't know. However, I can tell you that they go up proportionately, cost of living increase with the balance of town staff.
Well, my argument is, I mean, these salaries could have been based on 6 days of work when the town hall was open 5.5, 6 days. Now it's only open up 4 days.
So town hall has been open 4 days now, I want to say for at least 2 or 3 years. And the hours of town hall were increased, to my understanding, Monday through Thursday in order to make up the difference in hours. So the staff who works in town hall works from 7:45 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And those hours were extended, were changed when town hall went to a 4-day work week. That's my institutional history of that as it was presented to me.
And I'm going to add something to this, and it may not sound pleasant, but it really is what it is. This goes back many years when one of these elected officials came in front of our meeting and said, I do not answer to anybody in town hall. I answer to the voters of the town of Adams, particularly the town meeting members.
Yes, I remember.
So if one of these 3 individuals did not show up at work, it's not like the town administrator or the board of selectmen has any jurisdiction over that. I mean, so it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing when it comes to elected officials like that. So.
Yeah, 8 to 5 is 36 hours a week, not counting lunches. And I'm sure they have time for lunches.
You don't know. but it's not policed.
Yeah, no, that's enough. That doesn't matter. But I'd like to make a recommendation that we reduce them.
I don't think this is the venue for that. What you're voting on tonight as a finance committee is the article as itself. A time for a nuts and bolts amendment like that is done at a review of the budget section, which we had last week. Or
Yeah,
Monday, rather.
but-
I don't even know what day of the week it
We
is.
didn't re-vote on the budget. We used the vote that we did in spring.
Sure, it was March.
On the budget that was in spring, and this should be a different budget because we got all kinds of different things going on. So I thought we would be re-voting for a new budget. Same with the schools. But we're not, correct?
No, we are voting on warrant articles this
Okay.
evening.
I know, but we didn't vote on any new budgets from the town or the schools.
No, we aren't.
You did that on Monday.
No, we didn't. We had the same
Yes,
budgets.
Yes, you did. In March and April, sir, we sat down and we went through the budget, or excuse me, May rather, early May. We went through the budget. The first week of June, we stopped the process before we approved the articles because a decision was made to go to a 1/12 budget and not move forward with a complete budget. The months of July, August, and September were on a 1/12 budget. When the state gave us new cherry sheet numbers or state aid numbers, and Chapter 70 numbers were included in that, back in mid-August, early August to mid-August, we began the process of being able to work with a solid fiscal 20 number from the cherry sheet that told us to reduce the budget by that difference between the fiscal 21 cherry sheet number and the fiscal 20 number. We achieved that with the reductions that were put in front of the Finance Committee on Monday night. So you had the sections of the budget in front of you that were changed. Everything else remained the same. So the time to discuss the salaries of the elected officials was either back in May when the assessor's budget, and forgive me, I don't remember exactly where in the sequence that was, but it's under general government, I believe, was discussed, or alternatively, it could have been brought up Monday with a recommendation from the Finance Committee that rather than reducing somewhere else in the budget, that the salaries of elected officials be reduced. That would be the process for it. So
All right,
tonight,
I'll bring it up next budget meeting. That's all, next year.
That's fine. And this is something I should probably state to all the Finance Committee members here. Because maybe you're not aware of this. When it comes time to be voting on the warrant articles, which we have, the budget has already been voted on. The selectmen made their recommendations on the warrant articles last evening. Now they come to the Finance Committee. We look at these warrant articles and we have three choices. We can vote yes, we can vote no, or we can take no action or no recommendation on an article. That's our three options when it comes to the warrant. This is not a time that we can go in and change.
Okay.
Somebody at town meeting may be able to come up and make some kind of a change. That's a question for town council of whether that would carry weight or not, especially if they make an increase in a change that could screw up numbers somewhere, but yes.
yeah, an increase would definitely.
Right.
Tim, can I jump in
Yeah.
here just for,
I'm sorry, John.
okay. Tim, see, I think I alluded to this on Monday when I was asking a town administrator about the stipends and whether he had the authority to reduce those on his own. And I guess I understand now how it works, so that if I wanted to do something about that, that was when I had the time to do it. If I'm following, because I think it's, I forgot what the chapter is, section 108 or something of chapter 40, 41, 42, I forget now. But
41.
41, yeah. And maybe I should have made it broader, and maybe I should have asked, does this affect elected officials, and what can we do now about it? I didn't do that, but okay. That's the only comment I wanted to make.
Okay.
All right.
Are there any other questions out there on Article 4?
No, but we'll definitely have to think about this next year when it comes time to plan the budget.
I'm gonna be looking, I'll be reminding you what I want to do.
Sounds
Okay.
like a plan.
All right, I have no other questions.
Anybody else from the committee have a question on Article 4? Hearing none, then I will call for a roll call vote on Article 4.
Do you need a motion?
No, we already have it.
Okay.
John?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Abstained?
Charles? Kit?
Yes,
Brian?
Abstain?
Amy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Who'd I miss? Jay?
Yeah, I have to abstain anyway.
Okay. So we have, is it 5 in favor, 3 abstentions you got? Yep. Okay. The article passes. Article 5 was held by Mr. Cowie. John, do you want to make a motion to put it on the table?
Yes, I'll make a motion to put it on the table.
Thank you. Do I have a second to John's motion?
Second, Brian here.
Thank you, Brian. John, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, I held this one. I was hoping we would have someone from the school. I wasn't sure if we would, but here's the reason I'm holding it and why I'm probably going to vote no. Back in May, I wrote a letter. The Finance Committee, we discussed the budget format that we got from the schools, and part of our problem was always been we give them money in maintenance, and there's nothing we can do with the warrant article in the dollar amount other than move it up or down. We cannot tell the school district how they can spend that money. And they have some latitude within their budget to move money around. But as many of you know, maybe not the younger ones, C.T. Plunkett, which is now Hoosick Valley Grammar School, the roof over the boiler room was in terrible shape for years. And each year we would be budgeting money to the schools for maintenance. And then, hello? Okay. And then what happened was we had to put extra money in. And that kind of sticks in my craw. So when I wrote the letter, what I was asking the schools to do was, here's your budget now, but what we would like you to do in the future is please tell us, when you have, like last year's budget, 2020, you can move money around. We would like to know where you are moving that money. Now, both the Hoosick Valley Regional School and McCann, they answered that letter. And they said, no, we have the authority and it's within our purview to do this. So what I did was I wrote a second letter. Because I said, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm asking. I'm not asking, and we're not telling you how to spend your money. We could suggest it, but we're not telling you how to spend it. What we want to know is how and where you spent the money on last year's budget. Now, I never got an answer to that second letter from either one. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to pursue this at town meeting, because I do believe the fact that we can only vote on the budget before us and the warrant article before us, that doesn't preclude us, I don't think, during the process to ask them for information on last year's budget. That way there we know where they're actually spending it. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay. John, but I have to ask you something. I don't see where Article 5 has anything to do with anything you just asked, because the Article 5 is within the town budget.
Oh, no. I thought you brought up, the regional school aid.
Oh, this is.
I didn't hold,
You did hold Article 5.
I'm sorry. You're right. I am getting old. Okay. This is the one with the meeting minutes. All right. Here's what on page 3 of the meeting minutes, there's a reference. Someone had asked a question about transfers. And if I'm quoting what's in the minutes, all right, town administrator advised that there is a provision in the law which allows municipalities to move money around in the budget, and town accountant Beverly utilized that. So I guess she's probably not going to be available tonight either, is she?
No, she's not, John, and that's in reference to, I believe it's a one-time allowance that the state makes during the end-of-year budget reconciliation process. That is my,
Okay.
remember, this is only municipal budget cycle 2 for me here in Adams.
Right.
So that's like a one-time opportunity to reconcile where certain parts of a municipal budget may still be in the black or have excess, but other parts of the budget, for whatever reason, went into deficit. There's a one-time opportunity to reconcile those line items. That's my understanding of it. But again, Mary is the
Right.
subject matter expert there.
Well, see, here's what I was asking about, Jay. Like, there's a statute, and it allows municipalities and towns. You can make transfers of money within the budget, and there's procedures that you have to follow. And what I was trying to figure out is what's the protocol that Mary uses for any transfer she makes prior to the statutory reference of 2 months prior to the end of the fiscal year plus 15 days, and what's the protocol she uses when you're in that 2 months before the end of the fiscal year and in that 15-day window. And the reason I was asking it, back in May, Mary provided us, at our request, an updated financial report on where we were at the time. And I think it was, I want to say it was April 14th was the date on it. And within there are 2 budgets. One was the treasurer, one was the assessors. On one line item, they took out $20,000, I think for equipment. And the other one, there was money, it looked like it was transferred in for $20,000. And then there was an item down in community development for engineering. And I just wanted to find out what was the protocol. Because
Well, you know what, Johnny, might also, when you said community development, it triggers this. So community development is a grant-heavy department. So,
yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Right, so what happened, because I got a report one day and I fell off my chair. What happens is this particular line item will run into deficit mode and then gets balanced out when the reimbursement comes in from the grant fund. That's how that was explained to me.
Yeah, I think I understand. But I guess really, Jay, my only question is, if in fact we're making transfers, at some point in time, the select board and the finance committee are supposed to get involved to agree to that transfer. You can do it, but, and see, I don't know whether there was any of these transfers. There were more transfers in there. There were quite a few, and I didn't know which ones were covered. So, you know what I'll do? I will take that up with Mary. That's another one on my list.
Mary question, John, and I'm very confident that she can tell you exactly. The biggest one that I know of in terms of transfers was the police department overtime due to personnel shortage, et cetera, over there, ran into the red, and she made transfers, and we were able to balance that out.
Right.
I want to say that was a fiscal 19. With everything going on for fiscal 20, I'm not even sure the fiscal 20 books or the state's even ready to look at 20 books. But that was one of the transfers I was aware of that we had
Okay.
done.
But that's really all I had because I just couldn't figure it out.
Got it.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions on Article 5? Okay, so I have a motion already from John and a second by Brian. I will do a roll call vote. I also will note that Sarah Klein has joined the call. So, John Cowie,
Yay, yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Kit,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jay,
I'm sorry, the call dropped. I'm going to have to abstain.
okay, Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay, so it passes with Jay abstaining. Moving on to Article 7, which John held.
Right. Let me just ask you this to shorten this up for everybody. Can I just adopt the comments I made before?
Before you do, though, will you make a motion to put it on the table?
Yes, I'll make a motion to place this on the table.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it, Brian
Thanks,
here.
Brian. Okay, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add to my comments, so if I can adopt those, what I previously made.
John, excuse me, this is the capital infrastructure and equipment outlay.
Wait a minute.
Cash
Wait
article.
a minute, no. What did we say, 7? No, I didn't hold 7.
You're looking for 8.
8, I'm looking for 8. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Well, Article 7 was also held.
It was?
Yes.
It's not by me. I've got it. I've got okay here. I had 8 and 9,
Yeah, you do.
but I didn't hold 7. I was okay on 7.
Okay, well then,
Unless I'll move, assuming that I did make the mistake and do that one. I have nothing to comment on that. I'll withdraw my hold.
okay. So we do have to vote on that, because it wasn't
Okay.
voted in math. So I have a
All right.
motion and a second. Are there any other comments on Article 7? Okay, we'll call for a roll call. John?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Thank you, it passes. Next, we'll move on to Article 8, which was held by John.
Okay, I have a motion to bring the article.
Yep, John makes a
All right.
motion. I need a second.
Second, Brian here.
Thanks, Brian. Go ahead,
Okay.
John.
Can I just adopt my comments I made previously?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Now, I have nothing further than the comments I had previously made on this.
Okay. Does anybody else from the committee have any comments relative to Article 8? Okay, again, we will call for a roll call vote on Article 8. John?
I'm going to vote no on this one.
Okay. Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
No.
Brian?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay? Jay? Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, so I have 2 no votes. Looks like 6 yes and 1 none must have fell off. You got that? Okay, thank you. So Article,
Yeah, make
Eight
mine a
pass.
no vote on
I'm
Article.
sorry?
Make mine a no vote on Article 8. Change my mind. Brian Johnson.
Okay, so we have 3 no votes now. So it looks like it's 5-3 on Article 8. You have the, no votes on that, Deb? Thank you. Okay, so Article 8 does pass. Okay. Moving on to Article 9, which was also held by John Cowie.
Okay.
Did you make a motion to put it on the table? please?
Yes, I'll make the motion to bring on Article 9, the Northern Berkshire McCann Tech
And
School
do I have a
budget.
second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Brian. Go ahead.
Now, since there's nobody here, can I just adopt the objections I had to the Hoosick Valley Regional School District, because it's going to be the same. The letter, the exact same letter went to both schools. And my biggest concern is I want them to tell us why they think they do not have to tell us where they spent the money in a prior year. It's already been spent. There's nothing we can do to tell them, well, you can't spend it there or how to spend it. We just want to know where they spent it, because that can be a guidepost for us going forward. That's all I have, other than adding my prior comments to the Hoosick Valley School budget too.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the committee have any questions or comments relative to Article 9?
Yeah, this is Charles. I just would like to know how much extra money they had left over this year, both schools, and what they're doing with it. The transportation, all the people furloughed, stipends. I mean, that could add up to a lot of money. And they could be putting it back into this budget. And they don't want to give us that information, what they have.
And I'm not sure anybody that's sitting or that's on this call this evening could even answer that question, since nobody from the school is present.
Oh, yes, I agree. But they can answer it next year.
Okay. Any other comments on Article 9? No? Okay, we'll turn it over again for a roll call vote. John?
No.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
No?
Brian?
No.
No. Sarah?
I choose to abstain due to
Okay.
potential conflict.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Was that a no? Did I hear?
Yeah, it's a no.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, so I have 4 in favor, 4 opposed, 1 abstention. As chairman, it's up to me to break the tie on this, so I will vote in favor. So it carries 5-4 with 1 abstention. I typically don't vote. I only vote to. The Article 9 passes.
The other thing that everybody should know about McCann, is that there's 9 members of that district. The majority of them have already passed that budget 6. So Mr. Brosnan informed us the other day that independent of what I believe Cheshire and Adams might have been left, and I don't know what the third one was, that was going to be their budget for the year. That was a provision that I was not aware of, that if the majority of the members of the district pass it, then it sticks. I know we have a lot of new members of the Finance Committee on with us, so I figured I would share that information.
Thank you. Next, we will move forward to Article 20. This can be found on page 13, I believe, in your book, your packet. This is on the smart growth overlay. John Cowie held this. I'm going to ask if he'd make a motion to put it on the table.
Yes, I make a motion to put the smart growth 40R, Chapter 40R warrant article on the table.
I'll second it.
Second by Brian Johnson. Okay, John, since you held it, I'll give you first shot at it.
Okay. First, I want to comment. I don't know whether I would have a conflict, I don't know. One of the properties that's included in the smart growth warrant article is the East Street, the community center, the youth center. Now, for those of you that know, for those of you that don't know, they have a right-of-way across my driveway. Now, I was never informed of, like they never notified me of what they were going to do. So I would think that would cross out any possibility of my having a conflict, because I have no way, I'm not going to gain by it or anything. I could possibly lose by it, but I don't think I have a conflict, but I want to raise that. Then, as a second part of conflict, this went before the planning board, and the planning board voted 3-2. Now, it's my understanding Chairman Reinmiller made the deciding vote in favor of sending it on. And my question and my comments here is, I believe Mr. Reinmiller and possibly his son are the electrical inspectors in town. And I don't think they're on salary. So there is, I think, some potential conflict there, and I'm just raising it. Not saying it is, because I'm not sure exactly how they operate with the town. I have no way of knowing how that works. But I just raise it as there might have been a potential conflict there. Okay. Having said that, I'll now get on to 40R. This is my opinion. 40R is really a statute that was intended for the Boston area. It was intended for the cities and the towns that are served by the MBTA. And this evolved starting sometime, I think, in the early 2000s, maybe around 2004, 2005. And the reason the legislature and the governor at the time felt that they needed this was that Boston, with their high taxes, their high real estate taxes and everything, had pretty much taken away a lot of the opportunities for, say, middle-income families to find affordable housing. That really doesn't apply out in the Berkshires, okay? Not in my opinion. It really doesn't. And there's only, I think Pittsfield has a few. I think Lee has there's a project ongoing at the end of the street, the main street in Lee. I don't know about Great Barrington, and I'm not sure if there are any other 40R districts in Berkshire County. Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito came out last year. I want to say it was in the spring of 2019. And I think they held a conference over in Williamstown. And they tried selling it over there. Because Williamstown has a similar problem to Boston, very high real estate taxes. Williamstown didn't do anything with it. They said they just wanted to take a good look at it. But when one of the biggest objections I have to 40R is this. If any abutter or anyone wishes to fight or against the approval of the plan that's going to go into one of these 40R districts, what the individual has to do is they have to go out and they have to get a bond. And they have to, it's in Section 11, subsection H of the statute. And they have to get a bond set by the court, and I'm reading from it, in an amount that is sufficient to cover twice the estimated annual carrying costs of the property owner or the contractor, whoever wants to put the project in. And in addition, they have to pay an amount sufficient to cover the cost for defendant's attorney fees. Now, if any of you are aware of zoning problems, and if you get into a hassle over what a development is that's going to go on, these things can go on for years. And I'm thinking, this is one heck of a burden to impose on any landowner here in the town of Adams, especially those who would be abutting one of these 40R districts. I just don't think that's fair at all, and I even think it goes so far as to maybe violate our constitutional rights as property owners and as individuals in the state. But I don't think anyone has either tried to contest that as being unconstitutional, or if they have, they may have lost it. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But these are my basic reasons for opposing this. I just don't think it's not right for Adams. And the only other comment I might want to make, a lot of this is aimed at rental housing. And the town of Adams did a study, I think it was in 2018, and they compared Boston and Adams. And there was a statement, something to the effect that Adams doesn't have a lack of sufficient housing or adequate housing. It's a question of its age. That's all. So we have plenty of housing available in the market they are looking at, and that's why I'm opposed to this 40R. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. Since you put forth your reasons for opposing this, I'd like to bring forth my reasons for voting for 40R. John, you made a comment about Adams doesn't have the problems that Boston has of having high taxes. Look at our tax rate, John. We have one of the highest tax rates in the state. So that's refuted right there. Whether a survey said we have aging housing or whatever, we don't have attractive housing in the town of Adams. I can tell you from talking to people at General Dynamics, there's a lack of attractive housing for people in Berkshire County in general, never mind just the town of Adams. So there is a need for that from what I hear on my end of it. 40R is an overlay. It doesn't change the zoning. It just sits on top of it for a time being. It can be reversed, I'm assuming, at some point. So, yeah. So there's my reasons for thinking that it gives the town of Adams an opportunity to bring in more individuals, which would then lessen the tax burden on the people that are here right now. Because a lot of the buildings we're talking about are not currently being used. They're sitting there vacant, and all they are is becoming an eyesore in the town with no economic impact. Does anyone else have anything to comment on the article, on Article 20?
If not, Tim, the only other thing I may have left out, if I can.
Sure.
I see our biggest problem is jobs. If you had adequate, if you had a number of well-paying jobs in the town, we wouldn't even have any problems at all, nowhere along. This is really a jobs problem too. That's all I have to add.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more comments on Article 20, I will call for a roll call vote on Article 20. John?
No.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
No,
Brian?
No,
Sarah?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, I have 6 in favor with 3 opposed. The article passes. Thank you. Okay, we will move ahead to Article 21. You can find that on page 26. This is the amend the zoning map for the town of Adams. This article was also held by Mr. Cowie, so I'll ask if he wants to make a motion to put this on the table as well.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to put the zoning warrant article on the table.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Brian. John, the floor is yours.
Okay, on this one, I really don't think we've had adequate time to really discuss this one, especially in the limited time from like last Thursday to today when we actually didn't even see the warrant article until I saw it 2 days ago again. But I'm just going to go past that because what I can say here is I have a question. Let's assume we have someone who wants to do a B&B, okay? As I'm looking through this zoning article, how do you treat, say a person has a one-family house, but they have, let's just say they have 20 rooms, big house, and they use like 1/3 of that house for the B&B and 2/3 for the home. How does this zoning article affect that?
I don't know if you can answer that, Jay?
I can't, and that's not,
Because I know that they were having problems with commercial and homeowners where you have one parcel, the front parcel or something is a business, and the back, because you've got like split zoning. And so that's why I was thinking of the B&B, because it seems to address that, and I'm not sure that we've had enough time to go through this, and I wouldn't know what the answer would be going through that zoning warrant article.
So for our new members, this body of law lives in the zoning bylaw section of Town Code. That would be chapter 125. If you look on page 27 in italicized language, these are the reasons for this article to be on the town warrant, and I will read that language. The existing zoning map for the town of Adams was developed almost 50 years ago. It has become increasingly apparent that the town's existing zoning boundaries create barriers for both property owners and potential investors. This is especially true for the town's commercial zoning. Efforts to establish more reasonable zoning district boundaries have been focused on the southern half of town, from Hoosick Street to the Cheshire Line, primarily along both sides of Route 8 and also along a section of Summer Street. The general goals of the proposed zoning map changes are: 1, eliminate, quote, split lot zoning in which one portion of a lot is zoned business, typically B2, and the rear portion is zoned residential, typically R4. Often, this makes it hard for businesses to fully use their properties, and in many cases, it is impossible to know exactly where the zoning line falls. Proposed is to change the zoning boundary to match lot lines unless there is some physical reason to split a parcel. 2, eliminate or reduce the number of non-conforming properties that have historically been used as commercial but are zoned residential. Proposed is to rezone these properties to remove the non-conformity. 3, modify existing zoning district boundaries where needed to provide a more consistent and rational zoning boundary using topography or other physical features such as river roads as a zoning boundary line. From a procedural standpoint, I can tell you that the process to update the Adams zoning bylaws began several years ago, probably over the last 3 to 4 years, I would say. Our zoning bylaws have been identified by many commercial and business owners as being restrictive and not able to develop further. This is a reason why we have very limited commercial growth, or a reason, therefore, among others, why we have limited commercial growth in Adams. A decision was made by the Community Development Department, endorsed by the Board of Selectmen, for the Planning Board to begin looking at this. They have. The Planning Board held a public hearing on May 28th. That information's been on the website, and now this is the normal course where it goes to town meeting because it is a bylaw change of Chapter 125. So to answer your question, John, as to how individual, businesses, I do not possess that level of knowledge. I can tell you that Community Development Director Season will be participating in some of our public information sessions that we'll have for town meeting members, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I'm sure if you give her your specific question as to how a particular business will work in a particular zone based on the use schedule, she can answer that for you.
Okay.
John or anybody on the committee have any other questions or comments relative to Article 21?
I have a question also, just how those sections of town, well, I guess this is probably a Donna Season question, but going forward, how other sections of town would be able to be amended to conform to some zoning. But I guess I'll discuss that with Donna.
It would be the same process, Sarah. So the planning board has jurisdiction. That is those are the subject matter folks that this is looked at. So the community development department, town staff, gets feedback, starts looking at it, attends conferences, et cetera, and realizes we have an issue. We have a problem with our zoning bylaws. The community development department then goes to the selectmen and says, this is what we want to do. The selectmen endorse the initiative. It goes to the planning board, elected body. The planning board then holds public hearings. Town staff puts together a proposal, which is what the genesis of these changes in front of you tonight are. And then we look at it. And I know in speaking with Donna, you know, you're on the right path because it's not just the south end of town. There's some other sections that need updating. For example, our signage ordinance needs to be updated. So it would follow the same process. And because it's a bylaw, it would be put on a town meeting warrant such as this and then presented to town meeting for a vote. It's slightly cumbersome of a process, but it lives with the planning board.
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to call another roll call vote. John made the motion and Brian second. So, John?
I'm going to abstain on it because I just want to get some information on it before I vote one way or the other.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
No.
Brian?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, it passes. We have 7 in favor, 1 no, which was Charles Foster, and 1 abstention in John Kelly. Thank you. Article 23 pertains to the Hoosick Valley Regional School District. John Helvig.
Yeah. I make a motion to put warrant article 23. Move it.
Okay, thank you. Second? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Brian. Is that Brian?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, John.
Okay. Since there's nobody here to answer it, this issue came up, I believe, in 2019. When it came up, I was not here at the time. My daughter was graduating veterinary school, so I had missed it. The school had asked for a 1-week extension on presenting their budget, and that pushed me off, so I couldn't attend it. And then when I read the minutes, I couldn't understand. They said there was something. The best I can say is there was something in the change of the way they were handling the accounting or something. And at Cheshire, we paid less than we should have, and Cheshire paid more, I think, than they should have. So since there's nobody here, the accountant from Hoosick Valley is not here, I'm going to have to take this up again at town meeting and try and see if I can figure it out again from what I had in my notes from before. But that's all I have on this.
So for our new finance committee members who may be wondering why this is in front of them, I can give them the background for this. during the tail end of the budget process in fiscal '20 when I began, I sat down with Mary Beverly to look at how we did school financing, how we funded the schools, et cetera, and we recognized that there was a discrepancy in some numbers. Long story short, the investigation revealed by the school district that they were using a set of numbers provided by the state that had inadvertently included McCann numbers and Hoosick Valley numbers. The line item had something that said district. What they meant in those numbers was both districts rather than just one. That format, that document, was created twice by the state in fiscal year 19 and 20, and that is what the Hoosick Valley Regional School District used to calculate the assessment numbers, artificially inflating the numbers from Cheshire, which resulted in overpayment to Cheshire and underpayment from Adams. So that put us into a position coming into fiscal '21 to say, okay, we have to correct this. Negotiations with the school district resulted in the following agreement. The total amount that was underassessed to the town of Adams is $53,517. For fiscal '21, an agreement was reached to provide 4 quarterly payments in the amount of approximately $8,920 for a grand total of $35,677. That is the agreement that you see in Article 23. The balance, $17,840, is agreed to be paid in fiscal year '22 in 2 quarterly payments of $8,920 apiece. And I will tell you anecdotally that I am pleased that the higher amount is here in fiscal '21 because I am afraid of what fiscal '22 will look like for a budget year for both the school districts and municipalities. So that was the agreement that we had to correct it. This information, I believe, was probably, Tim, maybe you can refresh my recollection. We presented this, I think, towards the end of the fiscal '20 budget cycle to both the selectmen and the finance committee. We met over the course of late last year into this calendar year in pre-COVID times, came up with this agreement, and this is the normal course of resolving that. Since then, I can tell you from a corrective basis that Hoosick Valley is using the correct data. We've double-checked that data. They apologized for it. And in fact, I don't know if it was DESE or another state agency that was using that format. The errors were presented to them. I also believe that the same error was utilized in the Mount Greylock Regional School District between Williamstown and Lanesboro as well. How they resolved their, yeah, thank you. It was Mount Greylock, right? How they resolved it, I don't know, but I could certainly call Jason up in Williamstown and find out. So that is the background, folks, on Article 23. John, I hope that refreshes you to some extent.
Yeah, it does, but I never figured out exactly. I'm just trying to go back because I didn't have many notes on it, and all I had was the minutes. And then when I saw this pop up on the Warren article, I just didn't have time to go fishing back in there.
If you know, I know that you're well versed in what the state puts out. So if you go on the DESE webpage, you'll see the format that they use. You know, and it breaks down Adams, Cheshire contribution, et cetera. It was a form like that, but I think it was a subset of DESE that was providing the numbers, and that's where. But Erica is, or Mr. Jetty are the two individuals that you probably want to speak with.
Okay. Got it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions on Article 23? Okay, so on a motion from John and a second by Brian, I will call for a roll call vote. John?
I'll just abstain on this.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Kit?
Yes.
Brian?
I'll abstain on this.
Sarah? Sarah?
Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have 7 in favor and 2 abstentions. Okay, lost that. It carries. Article 23 carries. Article 26, the land acquisition, was also held by Mr. Cowie, so
I'll move that we have warrant Article 26 before us.
thank you. Second by anyone?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, John.
Yeah, I'm just asking a question. If anybody here can kind of explain to me which properties, I'm thinking, is this one of these the gas station or something? And what are we doing here? What exactly, because they refer to plots and stuff in the addresses. I didn't have time to check all of that out. I want to know if someone can just give me the nuts and bolts of what this entails.
You got it. Here it comes, everybody. Here we go. So, we are discussing acquisition of 26 Commercial Street, which is our illustrious former mobile station next to Hoosick Valley Elementary's Plunkett Building and across from Haflinger House. Back in early, again, pre-COVID, it's funny, I reference everything in pre-COVID times. In pre-COVID times, I want to say early winter, the owner of 26 Commercial Street, Mr. Randy Ransford, approached the town with an offer to deed over that parcel to the public. It was also my understanding, knowing this parcel and having spent quite a bit of time with our select board and other community-minded folks, that the town had had the opportunity to acquire this parcel on at least 2 other occasions, and those deals failed to materialize. So we listened to his offer, and that became the genesis of what you have in front of you. So this is what this article entails. Essentially, the article is simply authorizing the selectmen to enter into negotiations and to make this deal final. We've done as much preliminary research as we can. It's land acquisition. We're required to have this on a town meeting warrant for town meeting to authorize the selectmen to do this. Here is the nuts and bolts of it. Mr. Ransford owns 26 Commercial Street. He owns 50 Commercial Street. 50 Commercial Street is the open lot next to the next to the Redemption Center that you see fenced off down there. That property is made up of 2 taxable parcels. He is in tax title. There are 2 tax liens on the parcel, as well as a demolition lien for the building that was on there. The demo lien is about $66,000, and the tax title is about $140,000, give or take, as of now. You include interest, etc. What Mr. Ransford would like to do is, in return for the town releasing the liens on 50 Commercial Street, all 3 liens, he will deed clean title to 26 Commercial Street for the town. He will then put 50 Commercial Street into current tax status, keep current on tax status, and he has told us that he wishes to sell 50 Commercial Street and reduce his property inventory in the town. There are, as with most properties along the southerly section of the town, along Commercial Street, it's affectionately known as Gasoline Alley. 26 Commercial Street certainly has some environmental issues. We have done some preliminary environmental research, so we know what we're getting into. I cannot tell you exactly what they are because I'm just not down into the weeds at that level, but the Community Development Department is managing that. Our intent would be, if that goes, the town meeting authorizes the warrant, that would be what we would pursue. And then once we would take clean title, the town would then pursue Brownfield's grant money to clean it up. In my discussions with the selectmen, and Chairman Hoyt is here, she can certainly comment, it would be my understanding that the town would look to probably put an AUL, which is a limited use covenant on the property, and then we would probably use it for some type of parking and pickup drop-off area for Hoosick Valley Elementary, and then after hours, obviously, it would be available for parking to businesses along that area. So that is the nature of the transaction. And we're just at the point where we need to know if town meeting would like us to pursue this further. That's the background I can give you on Article 26, and I certainly hope that helps.
Okay, I guess, Jay, you hit on what my biggest concern would be, because I figured it was the gas station, the
Yep.
contamination in brownfields, because if we buy it, then we're stuck with it, and if we don't get brownfields, then what do we do?
Well, I don't think, you know, I stare at an open parcel across my office every day that I would love to buy, but we just don't have the money to buy property, and frankly, I would like to shed property that we have rather than get more. But this one, you know, my eyes go to it every day on my way in and out of town. I've been at Haflinger at least a half a dozen times this summer, and my eyes go right to it. So, you know, selectmen have told me, what can we do with this? And Mr. Ransford came in and handed us what we think is a good deal. We're not putting any money, you know, my concern would be, as town administrator, would we have to put any town funds into it? I think we would say no to that. We don't want to do that. It's paper money right now, it's the liens. What is the likelihood of Mr. Ransford is going to pay off pushing $150,000 worth of tax liens off on 50 commercial? The property is assessed at about 120, 122, I believe. So it, you know, interest racks up pretty quick, but when he first presented it to us, it was almost an even property swap. And unfortunately, we can't access any brownfields grant money as a municipal entity unless we actually own the property. So for me, in terms of the town administrator, it checks off a couple of boxes. It's blight, it's an entrance corridor to town, not likely to be redeveloped, and we don't have to put any money in it. If we take it by eminent domain, which is a pretty significant step for a municipality to do, we're paying fair market value. So now we're upfronting the purchase price, and we're upfronting, you know, cleanup price. So that is my concern as well. I know it's the concern of the selectmen as well, but we've got to at least give the authorization to selectmen to move forward with the deal. And frankly, if it becomes a deal that's not tenable, or we're going to sink money in it, the selectmen have the option to say no, thank you. That's the background.
Okay, what about demolition though? Do we have, you got to demolish it as soon as you get it? Is that going to be covered by brownfields? The building?
I don't think there's any need to demolish it as soon as we acquire ownership. I think once we acquire ownership, we have to figure out what any cleanup requirements are, that's the investigative process that's going on now.
Well, what about the fact that we've got school kids right next door to it?
We could drill down into this, John. You know, there's a restaurant across the street. You know, maybe there's asbestos in the garage. You know, these are the things that we deal with. But you know, well, if we get to a point where like, oh wow, we're in over our head, we've got the escape clause where we won't do it. But unless we get authorization from town meeting to pursue it, we're going to always get what we get, which is a blighted building in a section of town that McDonald's is going to be redone. We got Berkshire Arts and Music Academy burgeoning, hopefully, out there. You know, the commercial street's going to be redone. School building's in great shape. So that's kind of where we're coming from with it.
Oh, excuse me, Jay. Brian Johnson here. And at Berkshire Music Academy, I met with Don Summers today, and we went both through St. Mark's Church, First Baptist here in Adams. I brought my organist with me, Dr. Matt McConnell, and he's interested in teaching classes there in the organ. We checked out both organs, and they're still in pretty good shape.
Awesome.
So I'm going to tell Don Summer that he should go to the grants office here in the town of Adams to see if he can get additional funds to fix up both churches to be turned into music academies.
I'm pleased to tell you that Mr. Summer and Mr. Bolger from the academy was meeting with Donna and I this week. We had a very good meeting.
Good, good. I'd just like to report that both pipe organs are in good shape, and they are. Okay?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay. So I'm working with Don on that. I've got two guys that are pipe organ instructors and piano teachers, and so he's probably going to put them on his faculty board.
Awesome.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on Article 26?
Yes, I do. Let me see if I got this clear.
All right, go ahead, Kit.
We don't know what it's cost to tear the building down. We don't know what's underground. And Are the gas tanks still underground?
Yes,
Is the owner eligible for brownfield money?
not likely.
Yeah, and he probably wants to sell 50 Commercial Street to Cumberland Farms. That's why he wants the tax liens off. And we're just getting another expense. I mean, all you're gonna do with the, what else are you gonna do with the land besides make a parking lot out of it? You got any
Probably
plans?
exactly what we're gonna do.
What
And
plans
yeah,
do you
Kit,
have?
it's a great question you asked. There are a lot of unknowns in this. There are some risks, obviously, that we don't know. But when you look at it, it's an eyesore that's not gonna go away unless something's done.
Not gonna
Number
do any of that.
Number two, we've seen the population declines and the school enrollment in particular decline. We may come to a day in the not too distant future that the former Plunkett or Hoosick Valley Elementary School, as it is now, will no longer be a school. And it becomes a valuable piece of property to an investor, provided that there's a place for people to park vehicles. So in some respects, I look at this as, you know, probably a decent move for us now, but protecting us in the future too, so.
If it's not a school, it's gonna turn into another memorial school, a building that we do nothing with but sink money into.
You don't know, yeah, but it could be.
Yes, it's very good. It's a CT Plunkett's older than Memorial School. Yeah, I just think it's not it's an eyesore, but is the town gonna buy all the eyesores around town? Or just the ones that lead in and out of town?
Well, this
I
is
think
the only,
the owner's getting
this is the
a
only
much better
article
deal.
this is the only article that's in front of you. I can tell you that I'm personally, as town administrator, not having any other conversations about property acquisition. If somebody knocked on, I think, our door next week and said, I want to buy Memorial, I'd sell it to them if the selectmen approved it. So I've already previously said that it's my policy as town administrator not to go looking for properties. But there's a general consensus here that in this situation, this has a public value to it. And to answer your initial statement is the way that I view the 50 Commercial Street is if he sells that to Cumberland Farms or another entity and he makes it current on its taxes, that's tax-based expansion that we so desperately need. So to me, if he's going to sell 50 Commercial Street and put it in the hands of somebody who's going to develop it and do something with it, I think that's an advantage to us. And we have the opportunity to remove a parcel of property that I think if the private sector, if the private market wanted 26 Commercial Street, he probably would have had a positive sell and sold it to them, and they would be developing it for whatever it could be for. So no, I don't think you should, anyone on the Finance Committee, assume that this is the policy of our current Board of Selectmen or mine, but this is a tailored property in order to achieve a specific goal and address some blight that we have on you know, we have 15,000 cars that come through Commercial Street a day that go right by that. So that's that perspective on that.
Yeah, well, it also helped whoever owns the restaurant across the street from it for parking. Not just the school.
Right.
Potentially, yeah.
And that's not what the town is in business for. I just don't think it's a good idea to purchase it. Let somebody else in the private sector clean it up first.
In a perfect world, you're 100% right.
Well, it's not close to the perfect world.
Finding the person in the private sector that's willing to do that is the difficult part, so.
Because it's not worth, the same with Adams Memorial School. It's not worth purchasing in the private sector. If it was, it would have been used up long ago.
So in the interim, we try to do the best that we can with what we have to work with.
Any other comments on Article 26? No other comments. I have the motions. I'm going to call for a roll call. John?
I'm going to abstain again. I want to look into this a little more on this particular property, because I still kind of have a bad taste in my mouth when we had the Hoosick Street property and Mr. Cullen. So I just want to check it out some more. So I'm abstaining.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin?
I think he left the meeting.
Okay. Kip?
No,
Brian?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Thank you. 6 in favor, 1 no, 1 abstention. Okay. The final article that was held was Article 27. Before I do anything with Article 27, I just want to make a comment that this is a citizen's petition. It has been the practice that the Finance Committee does not take or make recommendations on citizens' petitions. On the other hand, this one presents a little bit of a difference because Finance Committee should be taking action on financial matters, and this does have some kind of a financial impact to the town. But I'll just tell you that it would be most likely, in all my years I've been on here, the Finance Committee would typically send this to town meeting with taking no action on it. So, that being said, Mr. Cowie held it. I'll ask if he wants to make a motion to put this on the table.
Yes, I'll make a motion to put warrant Article 27 on the table.
Thank you. Anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. John, did you have any comments on this?
Yeah, just some very basic comments. Like being a veteran myself, I see a lot of pluses on this. And my only question is, this looks like something that's probably been around in other communities, and someone got the idea, because do we know of any community, say, around us that has passed a similar thing? Because I wonder about the eligibility requirements and everything. And again, I really didn't have a lot of time to go into it and examine it as deeply as I would have liked to. But does anybody have any comments on it? Or does anybody know anything as to how this may have worked in another community? Does anybody ever really qualify for it? That's all I have.
Mr. Cowie, it's Christine Hoyt here. The citizen who brought forward this petition presented this information to the Board of Selectmen. At the time that it was presented to the board, he did mention that the city of North Adams had this program, and it was just really a couple of people who had taken advantage of that program at that time. I'm not sure if there are other communities, but it is something I'm certainly happy to ask Mr. Bianchi to provide a little bit more information, and I can get that to you as to which other communities are taking the option to accept Mass General Law on this.
Okay, because if it would really work for a number of people, certainly I have no objection to it, but I just didn't know, so
yeah,
that's all I have.
He thought it might be a couple of people that it could help in town.
Okay, thank you.
The Board of Selectmen did not. He presented it to us in a workshop, and we did not.
Mr. Bianchi, John has probably been one of the most patient
Yep.
citizens that I have met, because I think he presented this he had this brewing sometime early 2019.
It was,
We
Early
presented it to the selectmen at a workshop, I want to say spring
I want to say it was maybe April or May, John just called the chair.
of 2019. We were not sure if it had to go to town meeting or not. Unfortunately, by the time that determination was made, town meeting had already passed. So we told John that if we were to hold a special town meeting to deal with zoning and 40R, we would put it on that warrant. That did not occur. So now here we are, well over a year later, with it. So that's the historical process of that. My knowledge with the program is it runs very much concurrent with the senior tax work-off program. The two statutes are very similar. The selectmen, if I recall correctly, particular member Duval had wanted to know the number of individuals that he thought would enroll within the community because there is a budgetary, impact to it. And I believe Mr. Bianchi at the time felt, to his knowledge, there would be 1 to 2 individuals that would take advantage of it. I have no knowledge of what other communities have adopted it, but it's a provision of state law that requires the adoption to do it. I believe we have 1 or 2 people in the senior tax work-off program now.
So the Board of Selectmen, when reviewing the warrant, did not make a recommendation?
Oh, we
on it?
did last night, yes, I'm sorry. I thought you meant.
And your recommendation was,
To move it to town meeting.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit away from the table due to social distancing here, so I'm not sure if everybody heard me. The Board of Selectmen did vote in favor of this citizens petition last night. They passed or recommended the article to be passed, just for anybody's. So I'll leave it up to. There's a motion on the table, but I think we need a motion from somebody, whether you want a motion to approve or a motion to make no recommendation on this article. So.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it and just let it go to town meeting and
Okay.
see what happens.
So John made a motion to approve the article.
I'll second it.
Brian seconds it. Is there any further discussion on Article 27? Hearing none, then I will call for a roll call vote on Article 27. John?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Justin? He left, right? Kit?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sarah? Sarah? Amy?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, Sarah, are you back on the line?
I am, but
You-
I'm sorry, I'm not, what are we voting on?
We are actually, the motion was made to approve, or recommend approval of Article 27, the citizens petition.
I'm gonna have to abstain.
You're going to abstain. Okay, thank you. It passes on a 7-0 vote. So the language will need to change that the Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 27. Okay, this would conclude this evening's meeting. The warrant has all been voted on. Does anybody have anything to bring forward before we close the meeting? Okay, hearing none, just a reminder that town meeting will be held on Thursday, 24th at 6 o'clock at Bow Field.
Are you guys going to have mosquito repellent for us?
We're going to fog it for you, John.
Let's pray for good weather. And if any of you are town meeting members, please do your best to attend. Thank you. I will do a roll call vote to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Motion to adjourn. Did we have a motion?
We have one now. Thank you, John.
Second?
Second by Brian. Okay, John?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Kit,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
and Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay, then we have adjourned. I just want to thank all of you for your patience in dealing with these Zoom or whatever, these meetings in the virtual world. Let's pray we can do this live next year.
Yeah.
But again, thank you all for making the process work. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Night.